Some secrets are not buried because they are shameful. They are buried because once they are spoken, nothing remains the same. And tonight, I am standing at the edge of one of those secrets. The strange part is that this story is not about a promise, a memory, or even a goodbye. It is about a feeling. A feeling that arrived quietly, without knocking, without warning, and somehow managed to change the way I look at the world. Before I tell you anything else, I need you to promise me something. Do not rush to understand me. Just listen. Because what I am about to confess is not something my mind planned. It is something my heart survived. There was a time when my days felt ordinary. The sun would rise. The hours would pass. People would come and go. And life moved with the same predictable rhythm. Then one day, something shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough for me to notice that silence felt different. That certain songs carried a weight they never carried before. That certain moments suddenly felt incomplete. At first, I blamed loneliness. Then curiosity. Then imagination. I gave this feeling every name except the right one. Because the truth frightened me. The truth was simple. Every road inside my thoughts somehow led back to you. I wish I could explain how it happened. I wish I could point to a specific moment and say, that was the exact second everything changed. But love rarely announces its arrival. It grows in hidden places. It settles between conversations. It lives inside forgotten moments. And by the time you notice it, it already owns part of your soul. The first thing that scared me wasn't how much I thought about you. It was how natural it felt. You became a familiar place inside my mind. A quiet corner where my heart kept returning. Not because it was forced. Not because it was lonely. But because it felt safe. And that frightened me more than anything. Because safety creates attachment. Attachment creates hope. And hope is dangerous when the future belongs to someone else's heart. Some nights I find myself staring at the darkness above me, asking questions I can never answer. Do you ever think about me? Do I ever cross your mind when the world grows quiet? Do you ever pause for a second and wonder how I am doing, or am I simply another passing voice drifting through your life? I do not know. And sometimes not knowing feels heavier than knowing the wrong answer. Because uncertainty has a way of keeping every door open. Every possibility alive. Every fear awake. Maybe that is why my heart has been restless lately. It is tired of carrying words that were never spoken. Tired of pretending that your presence means less than it does. Tired of acting as if hearing your name does not change something inside me. The truth is, you became important long before I realized it. You became part of my routine without asking permission. Part of my thoughts without making a sound. Part of my prayers without me noticing. And somewhere between all those quiet moments, I lost the ability to imagine life exactly the way it used to be. Because once someone touches your heart deeply enough, the person you were before them disappears forever. And maybe that is what I am mourning tonight. Not sadness. Not regret. But the realization that my heart chose someone without consulting me. And somehow, it chose you. The terrifying part is that I never intended for this to happen. I never woke up one morning and decided to give you this much space inside me. Feelings do not work that way. They grow silently, patiently, like roots beneath the earth. Invisible until one day you discover they have spread everywhere. And now, everywhere I look, I find traces of you. In unfinished thoughts. In quiet evenings. In dreams that arrive unexpectedly. In the strange warmth that appears whenever I imagine your smile. Sometimes I wonder if the universe laughs at people like me. People who spend so much time hiding emotions only to be defeated by them. Because despite every attempt to stay rational, my heart keeps returning to the same truth. You matter. More than I planned. More than I expected. More than I know how to explain. And perhaps that is why my voice trembles when I speak about you. Not because I am weak. But because some feelings are too sacred to carry casually. Some emotions deserve trembling. Some confessions deserve silence before they are spoken. And some people become poetry long before they become memories. You became both. And this is only the beginning of what my heart has been trying to tell you. The strange thing is, I never noticed the exact moment you became important. There was no dramatic scene. No grand confession. No unforgettable event that changed everything overnight. If anything, it happened so quietly that I almost missed it. Like the way the moon rises without asking anyone to notice. Like the way the ocean slowly reshapes the shore while nobody is watching. That is how you entered my life. Softly. Patiently. Without demanding attention. And somehow that made your presence impossible to ignore. I remember trying to convince myself that it was nothing. Just admiration. Just curiosity. Just one of those temporary emotions people talk about and eventually forget. But every time I tried to walk away from the feeling, it followed me. Every time I tried to dismiss it, it returned stronger. Not louder. Just deeper. As if my heart was quietly saying, you can lie to yourself if you want, but you already know the truth. And maybe I did. Maybe I knew from the beginning. Maybe I was simply afraid to admit it. Because admitting something makes it real. And once something becomes real, it can hurt. That is the part nobody talks about. People speak endlessly about falling in love. But they rarely speak about the fear that comes with it. The fear of caring too much. The fear of losing something before it even belongs to you. The fear of building a home inside a heart that may never become yours. I know that fear well. It sits beside me every night. It watches every thought. It listens to every memory. And it whispers the same question over and over again. What if she never feels the same? Sometimes that question feels heavier than the feeling itself. Because hope has a beautiful face. But disappointment has a long shadow. And yet, no matter how hard I try to protect myself, my heart refuses to retreat. It keeps finding reasons to stay. Reasons to believe. Reasons to imagine. You know what I think about most: not romance. Not perfect moments. Not fairy tales. I think about ordinary things. The small things. The moments people usually overlook. I imagine sitting beside you while the world rushes around us. I imagine conversations that have no purpose except making each other smile. I imagine comfortable silence. The kind where neither person feels pressured to speak because simply being together is enough. I imagine looking at you after a difficult day and knowing that I don't have to explain every battle inside me. Because somehow, you would understand. And maybe that is what my heart longs for more than anything. Understanding. Not perfection. Not fantasy. Just understanding. Someone who sees the chaos inside me and stays anyway. Someone who notices the cracks and doesn't treat them like flaws. Someone who understands that even strong people become tired. That even confident people become afraid. That even people who smile carry storms nobody sees. And whenever I think about that person, I see you. That is what scares me. Not because you are dangerous, but because you feel necessary. And there is a difference. Danger makes people run. Necessity makes people stay. Even when they are afraid. Especially when they are afraid. There are nights when sleep refuses to come. Not because my mind is busy, but because my heart is. Because every unanswered question finds its way back to me. Would you miss me if I disappeared for a while? Would my absence create a space inside your day? Would you notice the silence where my voice used to be? Or would life continue exactly the same? I hate that I wonder these things. I hate that your opinion matters so much. I hate that your smile can improve a difficult day. I hate that your silence can make me overthink. And maybe I hate it because I cannot control it. Feelings were supposed to obey logic. At least that is what I believed. But then you arrived. And suddenly logic became a language my heart no longer understood. Now everything feels different. Songs feel different. Memories feel different. Even time feels different. Minutes become longer when I miss you. Hours disappear when I think about you. And somehow your presence exists even when you are nowhere near me. That should not be possible. Yet it is. You exist inside my thoughts in ways reality cannot explain. Sometimes I wonder if souls recognize each other before people do. Maybe that is why some connections feel familiar from the beginning. Maybe that is why certain people feel like home before they ever become part of your life. Maybe that is why I feel this strange peace whenever I imagine you. as if some part of me has known you longer than memory allows. I know how crazy that sounds. Trust me. I have argued with myself about it countless times. But no argument ever changes the feeling. No logic ever removes it. No distraction ever replaces it. Because every path eventually leads back to the same place. Back to you. And that realization has changed me. More than you know. I am softer now. More patient. More aware of the fragile beauty hidden inside ordinary moments. Because loving someone quietly teaches you things. It teaches you how precious time is. How meaningful small gestures become. How a single message can brighten an entire evening. How one person's happiness can suddenly matter more than your own. And somewhere in all those lessons, you became part of who I am. Not because I planned it. Not because I wanted it. But because my heart made a choice before my mind understood what was happening. And now, standing here between hope and uncertainty, between courage and fear, between confession and silence, there is only one thing I know for certain. If I had the chance to choose again, I would still choose every moment that led me to you. Even the confusing ones. Even the painful ones. Even the nights filled with questions. Because knowing you has become one of the most beautiful things my heart has ever experienced. And that truth, that beautiful, terrifying truth, is only the beginning. And maybe that is the most dangerous thing about you. Not your smile. Not your voice. Not even the way my thoughts always seem to return to your name. The most dangerous thing about you is that you made me believe in things I had stopped believing in. Before you, I had become comfortable with distance. Comfortable with silence. Comfortable with carrying my feelings alone. I had learned how to lock certain doors inside my heart and throw away the keys. It felt safer that way. Easier. Less complicated. Because when you expect nothing, disappointment cannot reach you. When you keep your walls high enough, nobody gets close enough to leave a wound. At least that was the lie I told myself. Then you appeared. And somehow, without force, without effort, without even realizing it, you became the reason those walls started falling apart. Brick by brick. Memory by memory. Fear by fear. Until one day I looked around and realized there was nothing left between my heart and the thought of you. That realization terrified me. Because vulnerability is beautiful when it is shared. But when it is carried alone, it feels like standing in the rain without shelter. Every emotion becomes sharper. Every silence becomes louder. Every unanswered question becomes impossible to ignore. And lately, there has been one question that follows me everywhere. What if I am already too attached? What if you have become such a part of my emotional world that losing you would feel like losing a piece of myself? I don't like admitting that. It sounds reckless. It sounds dramatic. But honesty rarely sounds comfortable. And tonight, I promised myself I would be honest. So here it is. There are days when I miss you even when nothing is wrong. Days when I simply wish I could hear your voice. Not because I need advice. Not because I need answers. Just because your presence feels like peace. Just because hearing you somehow makes the world feel lighter. And I know that sounds impossible. How can one person have that kind of effect? I ask myself the same thing. But some truths exist whether we understand them or not. The ocean doesn't ask permission to create waves. The moon doesn't ask permission to move the tides. And my heart doesn't ask permission before thinking about you. It simply does. Again and again. Without explanation. Without warning. Without mercy. There are moments when I catch myself smiling for no reason. Then I realize there was a reason. You. A memory of you. A thought of you. A possibility involving you. And suddenly everything makes sense. Other times, I find myself staring at nothing. Lost somewhere between reality and imagination. Wondering what your day looked like. Wondering if you laughed. Wondering if something made you sad. Wondering if anyone reminded you how special you are. Because if nobody did, then allow me to say it now. You are. More than you realize. More than you probably give yourself credit for. You carry a kind of presence that changes people. A quiet presence. A gentle presence. The kind that doesn't demand attention but somehow leaves a permanent mark anyway. You left one on me. A mark no one can see. But one I feel every day. The strange thing is, I don't dream about extraordinary moments with you. I dream about ordinary ones. Walking together without saying much. Sharing late-night conversations. Watching the sky change colors while time slows down around us. Laughing over things nobody else would understand. Finding comfort in simple moments. Because the older I get, the more I realize something. Real love is not built from grand gestures. It is built from small moments repeated over time. A look. A conversation. A smile. A shared silence. A feeling of safety. And somehow every future my heart imagines contains those moments with you. Maybe that is why I am afraid. Because once someone becomes part of your future, uncertainty becomes painful. You stop worrying about today. You start worrying about tomorrow. You start wondering whether the person standing in your heart will still be standing there months from now. Years from now. And those thoughts can keep a person awake. Trust me. I know. There have been nights when I stared at the ceiling for hours. Not because I couldn't sleep, but because my heart wouldn't stop talking. It kept replaying memories, replaying conversations, replaying emotions, searching for signs, searching for hope, searching for anything that might answer the questions I am too afraid to ask out loud. And every time I search, I find the same thing. You. Always you. Like every road inside me eventually circles back to the same destination. I wonder if you know how rare that is. How rare it is to find someone who feels familiar in a world full of strangers. How rare it is to find someone who calms your chaos instead of adding to it. How rare it is to meet someone who makes your heart feel understood before they even know all your secrets. You became that rarity for me. A once-in-a-lifetime kind of feeling. The kind people spend years searching for without realizing it. The kind people write poems about. The kind people remember long after time has moved on. And maybe that is why I keep talking. Because words are the only bridge I have. The only way I know how to carry these emotions from my heart to yours. Even if they arrive imperfectly. Even if they arrive trembling. Even if they arrive wrapped in fear. At least they arrive honestly. And honesty matters. Especially when someone means this much. Especially when silence starts hurting more than confession. Especially when every beat of your heart feels like it is trying to tell the same story. A story that began quietly. A story that grew unexpectedly. A story I never intended to write. Yet somehow, it became the most important story I have ever lived. And the chapter I am standing in right now feels unfinished. Because there is still something deeper beneath all of this. A feeling hidden underneath the love. A fear hidden underneath the hope. A truth hidden underneath every word I have spoken. And sooner or later, I will have to tell you that truth too. Because my heart is no longer interested in hiding. And for the first time in a very long time, neither am I. And now, after everything I've said, after every confession, every fear, every hidden feeling I've finally allowed to breathe, there is only one thing left. The truth beneath all the truths. The feeling beneath all the feelings. The reason my heart kept speaking even when my mind begged it to stay silent. You see, baby, the deepest fear I carry is not rejection. It is not distance. It is not even the possibility that you may never love me the way I love you. The deepest fear I carry is losing the connection that brought you into my world. Because before love ever entered my heart, you entered my soul. Before I dreamed about holding your hand, I found comfort in your presence. Before I imagined a future with you, I found peace in simply knowing you existed. And if life taught me anything, it is this: some people arrive in your life to change your story. Others arrive to become your story. You became mine. Not because I decided it. Not because I planned it. But because every version of happiness my heart created somehow carried your shadow inside it. And maybe that is enough. Maybe love is not always about possession. Maybe it is not about promises. Maybe it is not about hearing the words "I love you" in return. Maybe sometimes love is simply being grateful that someone exists. Grateful that among billions of souls, you were lucky enough to cross paths with theirs. And if that's all I ever get, if all I ever receive is the privilege of knowing you, then even that will remain one of the most beautiful gifts life has ever given me. Of course, a selfish part of me still dreams, still hopes, still imagines a future where our paths continue side by side. A future where I don't have to imagine your smile because I can see it. A future where I don't have to wonder what you're thinking because you're there telling me yourself. A future where ordinary days become extraordinary simply because you're part of them. But life doesn't hand us guarantees. Love doesn't come with certainty. And hearts don't receive promises before they choose someone. They simply choose. Mine chose you. Completely. Quietly. Without conditions. Without negotiations. Without an escape plan. And if one day you discover that your heart never belonged to me, if one day your journey leads you somewhere I cannot follow, I want you to remember something. You will never be a regret. Not a single moment. Not a single feeling. Not a single tear. Because loving you taught me that my heart was still capable of feeling deeply. Still capable of hoping. Still capable of believing in something beautiful. You reminded me that vulnerability is not weakness. That softness is not failure. That caring for someone is one of the bravest things a person can do. And for that, I will always be grateful. Even if life writes a different ending than the one I secretly dream about. But if fate is kind, if destiny decides to be generous for once, if somehow your heart has been quietly walking toward mine while mine was walking toward yours, then maybe one day we'll look back at this moment and smile. Maybe one day these fears will become memories. Maybe one day this uncertainty will become a story we tell while sitting together beneath a sky full of stars. Maybe one day I'll finally stop wondering. And simply know. Until then, I will carry this feeling with dignity. With patience. With hope. Not the desperate kind of hope. The peaceful kind. The kind that trusts what is meant to stay will stay. The kind that understands love cannot be forced. The kind that believes genuine hearts eventually find their way to each other. So tonight, I release my fears. I release my doubts. I release the weight I've been carrying for so long. Because now you know. Now the silence is gone. Now the truth belongs to the world instead of hiding inside my chest. And strangely, for the first time in a very long time, I can breathe. Not because I know what happens next, but because I finally stopped running from what I feel. And what I feel is simple. Beautiful. Terrifying. Real. I love the way you exist in my life. I love the peace your presence brings. I love the version of myself that appeared after meeting you. And no matter where tomorrow leads us, that truth will remain unchanged. So if you're still here, still listening, still holding these words in your heart, then let me leave you with one final confession. Not a dramatic one. Not a painful one. Just an honest one. If I had the chance to live this life all over again, to walk through every road, to make every mistake, to relive every ordinary day, I would still choose the path that led me to you. Every single time. And with that, my heart finally falls silent. Not because it has nothing left to say, but because everything that truly mattered has already been said. The end.